Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Thomas's Reading Room, where we're reading Trip Across the Pond, a personal Vietnam experience by the author Thomas. Again, that's me, okay, and this is the book, Trip Across the Pond, which had unanimous statements. Once you start reading this book, you can't put this book down. And for the first time, you're being able to listen to the author as he reads the book on YouTube, and it's free. Okay. And we have a lot more. So we're getting together now. We were in the Philippines on R&R. If you remember, in chapter 17, now we're chapter 18. We're going last day and night in Manila, chapter 18. It was an older bus, much like the school bus, with a rack affixed to the top to store the passenger's luggage. The outside of the bus was painted a dark red color. It looked as if the bus had seen many a mile and was given very little preventive maintenance. Without a thought of any kind, I sat in a vacant seat near a window and stared out at the scenery. Soon, we made our first stop. A young woman got on and sat next to me. We began talking to each other, and I found out that talking is something she liked to do. She surprised me as she spoke the English language well. The time went fast, it seemed, and in no time we arrived in Manila. The young woman bid me farewell. She went her way, and a taxi took me to the Washington Hotel, where I rented a room. Relaxing in the lobby for a few moments, a boy with dark hair, dark eyes, and a thin build came up to me and began to talk. "Are you an American?" he asked. Yes," I said. "I have a brother that was going to school in San Jose, California, and he is back here visiting our family." "I am on R&R from Vietnam. I live in San Mateo, California, approximately 25 miles north of San Jose," I said. "My father and mother are divorced, and my father lives right here in the hotel. Do you want to meet my father?" Yes, indeed," I answered softly. We went to his father's room, and the boy introduced me. The father was perhaps in his 60s somewhere and carried a thin build also. The boy told me, his father, that I was in Vietnam and was on R&R in Manila. The father spoke of a time when he was in a war. It was good to be able to learn of his father's life and the boy's life there in Manila. After a short visit, the boy asked me, "Do you want to meet my brother and the rest of my family?" Yes, that would be very good," I said softly. The boy called his brother by phone, and his brother was going to stop by the hotel. A few moments passed, then his brother came. After an introduction, we took a taxi and went to their family's home. Dinner was being served. Their mother invited me to dinner, though the brother told her that I probably was not used to the kind of food they ate. We soon left for a short tour around the city, then we gave each other a brotherly hug, shook each other's hand. After a shower and shave, I was driven by a new chauffeur to a club where I enjoyed a few drinks. Dancing a few dances with a good-looking woman, I decided to take her back to the hotel. Although being tired and sore as hell, the thoughts rang out that it would be the last evening there in Manila, so I wanted to make the best of it. The woman and I took a taxi back to the hotel, went up to my room, and jumped into the rack. She could not speak a word of English, though she definitely made up for that elsewhere. After a few moments of great passion, she wanted to stop. She motioned that she wanted us to take a shower, I think. Putting some clothes on, I walked outside and down to the room where the boy's father was. We talked about this and that, and then we bid farewell to each other. Walking back to my room, and to my surprise, there was no woman. Going downstairs and talking to the clerk, he told me that the woman left and went back to the bar. He asked me if I wanted her back, or did I want someone else? Someone else sounded good to me. Maybe someone that could speak a bit of English. A conversation with a woman in English would be a good experience for me. It definitely would be in order. After walking back to my room and resting a short time, there came a knock on the door. Opening the door, there stood a seemingly beautiful young woman. There were the thoughts, whoever picked that woman should have picked all the women for me. Closing the door, we sat and talked. She told me that she was going to college and so on. After a few moments, I told her that I did not want to have sex with her. I would be leaving for Vietnam tomorrow, and it would be good if we could go to bed. That was okay with her. She undressed and climbed in bed with me. Looking at her body when she undressed, feeling her body next to me in bed, there was no way for me to lay there and fall asleep. That damn little guy inside me said, "Come on, Tommy, climb aboard," and climb aboard I did. However, I could not withstand the physical, mental exhaustion that was the greatest part of me, and I fell asleep on top of her. Early in the morning, she awoke and greeted each other. Laying on top of her again, we made love, though no sex. After telling her a few times that it was time for me to go, she kept her arms around me and told me, "No, stay." Managing to get loose and out of bed, we showered together, enjoyed a short breakfast, and then we bid farewell. A chauffeur for the hotel took my luggage and me to the airport. An hour of waiting, then the group of us was into the air again, and again we enjoyed that familiar sandwich. I always wondered why they called it a sandwich. It was something you ate that was supposed to be good. We were not headed for Cam Ranh Bay, fortunately. Instead, we were going to land in Saigon, and that was good news for me. 4 hours of sailing above the clouds, we landed at the Tan Son Nhut Air Force Base. After checking in, a few of us soldiers learned that an airplane would not be leaving for Camp Raniel until tomorrow afternoon. Assigned to a barracks, I stashed my baggage, caught a taxi outside the base, and went to the Cholan area. Walking into a house, into a room, there was Papa San laying in a hammock that was strung diagonally across the room. Some women were sitting on benches around 3 sides of the room. Picking out a pretty Chinese woman, we walked to a bedroom, and my life was fulfilled again. She took very good care of me, and I thought that I would never forget our experience together. Finished, we sat around, and though she could not speak English all that well, we still communicated okay. She liked me, so we made love again without an exchange of money. Our experience with each other was better than before. Leaving the house, I took a taxi to the PX, purchased some American food, then went back to the Tan Son Nhut Air Force Base. Lying on a cot, the thoughts of the past 7 days went through the mind, with me being outside everything that was going on. It seemed I was sore to the point that there was no numbness to the pain. I thought, should something happen to me, at least the best was made from the time that was given to me. After enjoying a few snacks, sleep overtook me, and then the next thing I knew, it was time to get up. The boarding area was already filled with people going to various places. When checking the manifest list, I found my name listed. So far, so good. Half an hour went by, and a group of us soldiers boarded an old cargo airplane. Back to reality. The party was over. There was that sensation sinking into my conscious brain, that loneliness, becoming homesick, a dull aching sensation that I wanted to evade at all costs. I kept telling myself that once my brain had other things to think about, then the loneliness would be pushed back into the deep recesses of my subconscious brain. The airplane rumbled, shook, vibrated enough to make my teeth chatter as we progressed down the runway. Up into the air we flew at approximately 5,000 feet. The airplane struggled as it made its path toward home, Camp Ranier. Half an hour later, we were on the ground, and I was back in the war. Dad, Mom, howdy. Well, here I am, and there you are. Just got back from Manila today, and you might say I'm kind of homesick. The people there reminded me so much of home. I had a wonderful time there. The first day, I went to Subic Bay and went on the USS Warden and saw Glen. We went out on the town called Olongapo. Then we went, I was invited to a party on an island called Grande Island. We were going across the water to the island, which is 8 miles across. Anyway, the USS Forrestal, the one that blew up, and 135 were killed, and they were in the bay, and we crossed right beside it. I got about 40 feet of film of the aircraft carrier. It's a sorry sight to me. I mean, really tore it up. I'm afraid that you'll have to wait until I come home to see this movie film. Unless you buy a Super 8 projector for zooming. With this kind of film, you have to have a Super 8 movie projector. I'm in the process of buying a Super 8 projector made by Angus. It stops the frame and the whole bit for only $79. I took some movie film of the two big guns the Philippines use to defend the island. They have a 10.5-inch bore. They were made in 1895. Oh yes, I fell in love at least 5 times with 5 girls, but I had to leave them all crying. One wouldn't let go of me, and it was hard, but I forced myself. And of course, I told them all that I was madly in love with them. It made me feel better. Ain't I cruel? Don't answer that. I told her I would. One girl put her in my duffel bag, but couldn't convince her it would work. About that income tax, I didn't understand the one I owed $31 on. I thought I paid that off, and that for last year I thought I should get quite a bit back. I'm glad my Ford is going to be finally repaired. Remember, no paint, just primer, that's all. I would like you to tell me the total amount of money I have in bonds and the total amount of money I have in the bank, subtracting the cost of my Ford. So I can figure how much money I'll have when I come home. I hope you enjoy your trip and have loads of fun, but I hope also that you are careful. We'll close for now. If the good Lord is willing and the creeks don't run dry. Laugh and loads a minute. P.S. 121 days left. Love, Thomas. And you'll see here, folks, that in the book, Trip Across the Pond, Personal Vietnam Experience, is a copy of one of the letters I sent home. And on the back, it's written, "From Hell." Okay, our next chapter is Transformation Was Necessary, chapter 19. Come back and listen as we go further and conclude in this book. Thank you.